Hello everyone and welcome to today's lesson at the Butterfly Princess Academy, where curiosity takes flight and wisdom wears wings. Today we're going to be discussing the history, heritage, cultural significance and tourism of the York Minster. Here goes. York Minster, the towering Gothic masterpiece that dominates the skyline of York, is not merely a cathedral, but a living chronicle of England's spiritual, political and cultural evolution. It's one of the largest and most magnificent Gothic cathedrals in Northern Europe. Its history stretches back nearly 2 millennium, intertwining with the Roman, Anglo-Saxon, Norman and medieval eras. Beyond its architectural grandeur, York Minster embodies the resilience of faith, the ingenuity of medieval craftsmanship and the enduring allure of heritage in a modern world. Historical evolution of York Minster. The story of York Minster begins long before its Gothic spires pierced the skies. The site's significance dates to 71 AD, when Roman legions established Ibelin, a fortress that later became a provincial capital. Agricultural excavations beneath the cathedral's foundations have uncovered remnants of a Roman basilica and a military headquarters, suggesting the area was a hub of administrative and spiritual activity. By the 7th century, following the Roman withdrawal and the Christianization of Anglo-Saxon England, a small wooden church was erected here, dedicated to St. Peter. This modest structure gained prominence when King Edwin of Northumbria was baptised in 627 AD, marking the minister's emergence as a centre of Christian evangelicalism. The Norman conquest of 1066 ushered in a new era. The Normans, seeking to assert their authority, replaced the Anglo-Saxon church with a stone cathedral in the Romanesque style. Completed in 1088, this Norman edifice featured thick walls, rounded arches and a squat tower, a stark contrast to today's soaring Gothic design. However, by the 13th century, architectural taste had shifted. Inspired by the Gothic cathedrals of France, Archbishop Walter the Great initiated a radical rebuild. The project spanned 250 years between 1220 and 1472, and 3 Gothic phases. Early English, characterised by pointed arches and laced windows, decorated Orient tracery and sculptural detail, and virtual lines and vast windows. The Minster's history is punctuated by pivotal events. During the Anglo-Scottish War between 1291 and 1296, it temporarily housed the royal treasury. The English Reformation of the 1530s saw the destruction of the Catholic relics, yet the Minster survived dissolution thanks to the civic role as a parish church. In 1984, a devastating fire ignited by lightning gutted the south trespass, destroying the 14th century roof and rose window. The subsequent restoration, completed in 1988, became a testament to modern conservation techniques and medieval craftsmanship enduring legacy. Today, York Minster stands as a part of history its stones whisper tales of Roman soldiers, Anglo-Saxon kings, Norman masons and Reformation art, offering a tangible connection to England's layered past, architectural heritage and conservation. York Minster's architectural splendour lies in a harmonising blend of Gothic styles and its status as a UNESCO recognised site of global heritage. The Great East Window, completed in 1408 by master glazier John Thornton to the cathedral, is the cathedral's crown jewel, measuring 78 feet tall and containing over 300 panels. It is the largest expensive medieval stained glass in the UK. The windows intricate scenes depicting the apocalypse and Genesis interactions in Genesis served as the Bible for the literature, illuminating scripture through vibrant colour and light. An £11 million restoration between 2008 and 2018 stabilised the glass using innovative techniques, ensuring its survival for future generations. Equally remarkable is the Chapter House, a 13th century optical marvel. Its vaulted ceiling, unsupported by a central column, showcases the Gothic style's engaging engineering powers. Carved into the skulls are whimsical mercy seats depicting mythical beasts and biblical tales, offering insights into medieval humour and spirituality. Beneath the cathedral, the Undercroft Museum preserves Roman column fragments, Anglo-Saxon grave markers and Norman masonry, bridging the Minster's ancient and medieval identities. And the music I'm playing in the background is actually the music of the York Minster's choir. York Minster's heritage extends beyond stone and glass. Its bells, recast in the 20th century, continue a 600-year tradition of pealing for coronations and national events. The Masons' Lodge, active since the 14th century, the guild system that built the cathedral, blending ancient techniques with laser scanning and 3D modelling. This architectural heritage is not static. It's a dynamic dialogue between past and present, where medieval vision meets modern science to preserve a monument of universal value, cultural significance and community identity. York Minster's cultural resonance transcends its role as a place of worship. For centuries, it has been a symbol of civic pride and a stage for national drama. In the Middle Ages, it hosted royal coronations, including that of Edward I in 1274, reinforcing the divine right of kings. The shrine of St. William of York, a 12th century archbishop, drew pilgrimages seeking miracles, embedding the Minster in European spiritual geography. The Reformation threatened this Catholic legacy. Henry VIII's agents destroyed St William's Shrine and whitewashed over medieval frescoes, yet the Minster endured as a Protestant cathedral. Its survival reflects its adaptability, a trait evident in its modern role as a space hosting interfaith dialogues in LGBTQ plus weddings. Locally, the Minster is woven into York's cultural fabric. Its evensong services, sung by one of the UK's oldest choirs, founded in 1461, sustained Anglican musical traditions. The annual York Master plays, performed since the 14th century, transformed the Minster's nave into a theatre, retelling biblical stories through community actors. Artistically, the cathedral has inspired generations. J.W. Turner's 19th century watercolours, immortalised in silhouette, while contemporary artists like David Hockney have designed stained glass windows such as the 2018 Queen's window celebrating Elizabeth II's reign. For York residents, the Minster is both a spiritual anchor and a living monument. Its bells mark birth, deaths and marriages. Its walls shelter wartime memorials and Holocaust remembrance services. During the 2020 COVID-19 lockdown, the Minster's online services provided solace, proving its relevance in an increasingly secular age. In essence, York Minster is a cultural chasm, a medieval relic, a community hub, and an artistic muse uniting past and present in a continuous act of reintervention. Tourism, economic impact, and sustainable practices. As a cornerstone of York's tourism industry, York Minster attracts over 600,000 visitors annually, contributing £78 million to the local economy. That is according to 2019 figures. Tourists flock to its tower climb 230 steps, offering panoramic views, cryptic tours revealing Roman and Norman foundations, and seasonal events like the Christmas market and light shows. The Minster's appeal lies in its multi-sensory storytelling. Interactive exhibitions in the Undercroft use augmented reality to resonate Roman soldiers, while guided tours decode hidden symbols in stained glass. For scholars, the chapter library houses rare manuscripts, including a 15th century Gothenburg Bible. However, mass tourism poses challenges. Footfall erodes ancient floors, while breath moisture accelerates decay in the Great East Window. To balance accessibility with preservation, the Minster employs time ticketing visitor copes and a £12 million investment in humidity control systems. Sustainability initiatives include carbon-neutral heating, using groundwater source heat pumps, and partnerships with local schools to educate future stewards. The Adopt a Stone programme invites donors to fund conservation, fostering a sense of shared ownership. Critics argue that communalisation risks travel to sacred space, yet the Minister's leadership views tourism as a tool for preservation. Entry fees fund 95% of conservation costs, ensuring the site's survival without state reliance. Looking ahead, York Minster and how heritage sites can thrive in the 21st century by honouring their past while embracing innovation, ensuring their stories endure for generations unborn. York Minster UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most iconic Gothic cathedrals in Europe, serves as a microcosm of English history, spirituality and cultural identity. Raising majestically above the medieval city of York, this architectural marvel has witnessed nearly 2,000 years of human activity, from Roman occupation to modern-day tourism. This lesson plan explores the Minster's multifaceted legacy through 6 sections: its historical evolution, architectural and cultural heritage, tourism appeal, interactive educational activities, visitor statistics and sustainability challenges, and ethical discussions. The history of York Minster is a tapestry woven from conquest, faith and resilience. Its origins trace to 71 AD, when Roman legions established a fortress that later became a pivotal capital. Excavations beneath the cathedral's foundations reveal remnants of a Roman basilica and military headquarters, underscoring the site's strategic and spiritual importance. By the 7th century, Anglo-Saxon rulers had replaced Roman paganism with Christianity, erecting a wooden church where King Edwin of Northumbria was baptised in 627 AD. This humble structure evolved into a stone Norman cathedral after the 1066 conquest, symbolising William the Conqueror's fusion of political and divine authority. The Gothic cathedral we see today emerged from a 250-year construction campaign, reflecting 3 distinct phases: early English Gothic, characterised by pointed arches, ribbed vaults and lancet windows seen in the south transept; decorated Gothic, 1290 to 1360, flourished under Archbishop John Moran, introducing elaborate tracery into the chapter house and nave. Gothic, 1361 to 1472, marked by vertical lines and vast windows, anticipated by the Great East Window of 1408. Key historical events further shaped the Minster's trajectory. During the Anglo-Scottish Wars, 1291 to 1296, it safeguarded the royal treasury, highlighting its role as a fortress of both faith and state. The English Reformation of the 1530s saw the destruction of Catholic relics, including the shrine of St William of York, yet the Minster escaped dissolution by recuperating itself as a Protestant parish church. In 1984, a lightning strike ignited a devastating fire in the south transept, destroying the 14th century roof and medieval stained glass. The subsequent £2.25 million restoration, completed in 1988, became a landmark in conservation, blending traditional craftsmanship with modern technology. This section challenges students to analyse how York Minster's survival through war, religious upheaval and disaster reflect broader themes of adaptability and endurance in English history. York Minster's architectural grandeur lies in its harmonious symphonies of Gothic styles and its status as a respiratory of cultural memory. The Great East Window, the largest medieval stained glass window in the UK, stands as a masterpiece of Gothic artistry, crafted by John Thornton between 1405 and 1408. Its 311 panels depict biblical narratives from Genesis to Revelations, serving as a visual cap for medieval worshippers. A recent 11 million conservation project that took place between 2008 and 2018 stabilised the glass using innovative techniques such as glazing, ensuring its survival for future generations. Equally significant is the Chapter House, a 13th century optical chamber renowned for its unsupported vaulted ceiling. A feat of medieval engineering, its wooden stalls featured carved mercy seats adorned with mythical creatures like mermaids and griffins, offering insights into the human symbolism of this period. Beneath the cathedral, the Undercroft Museum houses Roman column bases, Anglo-Saxon grave markers and Norman masonry fragments, revealing the site's layered history. Culturally, the Minster has served as a stage for royal pageantry and spiritual devotion. It hosted coronations of Anglo-Saxon kings like Edward the Elder in 900 AD, and later became a pilgrimage destination following the canonisation of St William of York in 1227. Even after the Reformation erased its Catholic identity, the Minster retained cultural relevance through its choral traditions. The York Minster Choir, which is the music you hear in the background, founded in 1461, remains one of England's oldest, and its rolling civic ceremonies such as Remembrance Day services. This section invites students to consider how ritual intertwine to create a scene, a sense of communal identity, asking what makes York Minster a living monument rather than the relic of the past. Tourism appeal. As a cornerstone of York's tourism industry, York Minster attracts 600,000 visitors annually, drawn by its blend of spiritual solemn and historical spectacle. Guided tours cater to diverse interests. History enthusiasts descend into the crypt to explore Roman and Norman foundations, while adventurous visitors climb the 230-step central tower for panoramic views of York's medieval skyline. The cathedral's Undercroft Museum employs augmented reality to reconstruct Roman soldiers and medieval masons, bridging ancient and modern storytelling. Seasonal events amplify its appeal. The York Minster Christmas Market transforms the adjacent Dean's Park into a festive village where Evesong services during Advent and Easter showcase the cathedral's acoustic grandeur. In 2022, the York Minster Illuminated Light Show projected vibrant animations onto its facade, attracting 45,000 visitors and generating £1.2 million in ticket prices. However, tourism's economic benefits come with ethical dilemmas. Foot traffic erodes 700-year-old floor tiles, while visitors' breath that elevates humidity, threatening fragile stained glass. To mitigate damage, the Minster employs time-ticketing visitor caps and a £12.5 million climate control system was installed in 2020. This section encourages students to debate the dual role of tourism as patrons and stressors of heritage sites, asking, can York Minster remain both a sacred space and a tourist attraction? To bring York Minster's history to life, educators can deploy free hands-on activities. Timeline sorting. Students arrange illuminated cards depicting key events, for example, Roman fortress, the 1984 fire into chronological order, fostering critical thinking, aim, cause and effect. Stained glass design. Workshops using translucent paper and coloured markers. Students recreate panels inspired by the Great East Window, exploring the medieval artisans used art to communicate theology. Role-play debate. Half a class assumes the role of medieval pilgrims seeking miracles at St William's Shrine. The other half acts as modern tourists documenting the site on Instagram. A moderated debate examines how motivations for visiting heritage sites have evolved. These activities align with STEM spelled S-T-E-M, and art curricula such as analysing the physics of vaulted ceilings or the chemistry of stained glass preservation. Pre-pandemic, York Minster welcomed 600,000 annual visitors, contributing £78 million to York's economy in 2019. However, mass tourism strains its fragile ecosystem. Pollution from nearby traffic erodes limestone, necessitating a £20 million annual upkeep budget in response. The Minster's Green Pilgrimage initiative, launched in 2021, promotes sustainable practices including carbon-neutral heating via groundwater source heat pumps and partnerships with local schools to foster conservation literacy. This section tasks students with analysing visitor data and proposing eco-friendly tourism strategies, such as expanding virtual tours to reduce physical footfall. Two ethnical questions anchor classroom dialogue. Survival through the Reformation. Students dissect political, economic and social factors. For example, the Minster's role as a civic hub that spared it from Henry VIII's dissolution of monasteries. Preservation versus accessibility. Learners debate whether limiting visitor access undermines the Minster's democratic role as a public heritage site. Virtual tours. These prompts cultivate skills in historical analysis and ethnical reasoning, preparing students to engage with real-world heritage conflicts. Resources and project ideas. Virtual tours. York Minster's 360-degree online gallery allows students to explore the Great East Window remotely. Prime resources. Analyse the 15th century stonemason accounts of 1984 fire survivor testimonies to humanise historical events. Sustainable tourism campaign. Students design a marketing strategy promoting lesser-known features like medieval mason marks using social media templates and eco-concise slogans. York Minster's history spans over 2,000 years, beginning as a Roman fortress. Anglo-Saxon ceremonies and Norman foundations, illustrating its layered past. The first Christian church on the site, a wooden structure built in 627 AD for King Edwin's baptism, was replaced by a stone Anglo-Saxon church, later destroyed during Viking invasions. The Norman Minster, constructed from 1080 under Archbishop Thomas of Bayeux, established the cathedral's cross-shaped footprint. By 1220, Archbishop Walter de Grey initiated the Gothic transformation, which unfolded over 250 years. York Minster is a UNESCO-worthy example of medieval engineering. As the seat of the Archbishop of York, the Minster has housed royal coronations, for example Edward I and parliamentary sessions. Its Undercroft Museum preserves artefacts from Roman, Viking and medieval eras, while the shrine of St. William of York anchored medieval pilgrimages. Education collaborations with the University of York explores medieval art and conservation. Sustainability faces challenges like pollution, damages to marginal limestone, requiring £20 million a year for upkeep. York Minster's survival hinges on balancing preservation with accessibility. The 1984 fire restoration, which incorporated modern engineering while replicating medieval techniques, amplifies this. Current exhibitions such as Vision's Voices of 2025 highlight women's contribution to its history, while conservation projects like the St. Cuthbert window restoration engage the public in heritage stewardship. The Minster remains a living symbol of continuity, bridging ancient worship with contemporary relevance, though adaptive reuse of spaces like the Undercroft Museum and community-focused events. Its enduring legacy lies not only in stone and glass, but in its ability to evolve while honouring a millennium of faith and artistry. So some educational questions. What distinguishes the York Minster is both a minster and a cathedral? The term minster originated from the Anglo-Saxon period, donating a missionary church established to spread Christianity. York Minster became a cathedral in the 7th century when it was designated the seat of the Archbishop of York, the second highest office in the Church of England. Thus it serves dual roles as a minster and with historical roots in early Christian evangelism, and as a cathedral functioning as a mother church of the Diocese, central to Anglican governance and worship. How does York Minster's architectural evolution reflect England's historical and religious shifts? York Minster's architecture mirrors England's social, political and religious transformations. Roman and Anglo-Saxon formations. The site's earliest layers, including a Roman fortress and a 17th century wooden church, highlights York's strategic and spiritual importance. Norman influence. After the 1066 conquest, a Romanesque cathedral symbolising Norman authority, blending military might with religious reforms. The 13th to 15th century Gothic rebuild early English styles reflecting medieval piety and economic prosperity, with soaring vaults in stained glasses glorifying God. Post-1500, the Minster transitioned to Protestant, stripping Catholic iconography but retaining its structure, illustrating adaptation to political change. What makes the Great East Window a masterpiece of medieval artistry and theology? Crafted by John Thornton between 1405 to 1408, the Great East Window is the largest medieval stained glass window in the UK. Its 311 panels depict biblical narratives from Genesis to Revelation, serving as a visual Bible for illiterate congregations. The window's vibrant colours and intricate details reflect medieval theology's emphasis on light as divine revelations. A recent £11 million conservation ensures its preservation, blending medieval craftsmanship with modern technologies. How did the 1984 fire impact York Minster, and what did its restorations reveal about conservation efforts? The 1984 fire, sparked by lightning, destroyed the south transept 14th century roof and stained glass restoration. 1984 to 1988 became a landmark in heritage ethics, combining traditional techniques, hand-carved oak with modern engineering steel reinforcements. This approach honoured historical authenticity with enduring longevity, raising debates about whether replication or innovation should guide conservation. In what ways does York Minster balance its role as a place of worship with being a tourist attraction? The Minster navigates this balance through timed access, limiting visitor hours to preserve sacred space for worship, educational programmes offering guided tours that contractualise its spiritual and historical roles, cultural events hosting concerts and exhibitions to engage diverse audience while maintaining daily services. Economic model: entry fees for 95% of conservation, ensuring self-sufficiency without compromising spiritual functions. How does the Undercroft Museum contribute to our understanding of York's layered history? The Undercroft Museum beneath the Minster revealed 2,000 years of history through Roman column bases, Anglo-Saxon grave markers and Norman sculptures. These artefacts illustrate York's evolution from a Roman military hub to a medieval Christian centre, emphasising continuity and change in urban sacred spaces. Interactive displays like augmented reality reconstructions make the history accessible to modern audiences. Rhetorical questions about York Minster. Can stone speak? What stories might York Minster's Roman foundations whisper about emperors, soldiers, and the birth of Christianity in Britain? Is a cathedral ever truly finished? How does a building that took 250 years to construct and remains under restoration reflect humanity's quest for perfection? What does survival cost? Why did York Minster endure the reformations and the flames of 1984 when so many medieval treasures perished? Who owns heritage? Should a sacred space like the Minster prioritise worshippers, tourists or historians, and can it serve all this without compromise? How does the great east window splendour challenge us to balance admiration with preservation? Insight, the Minister of Power. York Minster's layers, Roman, Anglo-Saxon, Norman Gothic, reveal how each era rewrote history to assert dominance. The Normans built atop Saxon ruins, just as Tudor reformers whitewashed Catholic frescoes. This cycling erasure and renewal mirror England's turbulent identity, where faith and power are inaccessibly linked. The paradox of promise. Medieval masons designed the Minster to outlast lifetimes, yet its survival hinges on modern science. The 1984 fire restoration, blending medieval oak with steel supports, underscores the truth. Heritage is not static, but a negotiation between past ideals and present realities. Pilgrimage then and now. In the Middle Ages, pilgrims flocked to St William's Shrine seeking miracles. Today, visitors ascend the tower for Instagram-worthy views. Both journeys reflect a human yearning for transcendence, whether through divine intervention or the awe of human achievement. The silent witness. The chapter house carvings of griffins and green men, often overlooked by tourists, guide secrets of medieval spirituality. These motifs, blending biblical lore and pagan symbolism, suggest that even in a cathedral the sacred and subversive coexist. The conservation is moral duty. The Minister's 20 million annual upkeep raises ethical questions. Should we invest so heavily in stone and glass when poverty persists? Yet its role as a community anchor hosting food banks and memorials argues that heritage sustains souls as well as economies. The Minister's Prologue, once a daily act of worship, now draws more tourists than congregants. Does this shift from sacred ritual to cultural performance signal the triumph of over insight, or a new kind of spiritual engineering? Behind every stained glass panel lies centuries of anonymous labour, quarrymen, glaciers and conservations. Their unseen contributions challenge our obsession with great men in history, reminding us that the collective effort, not individual genius, built the Minster. York Minster is more than a monument. It is a mirror. Its stones reflect our reverence for the past, our anxiety about the future, and our unresolved tensions between art and unity, faith and reason, memory and progress. To walk its aisles is to confront a question as old as its foundations. What will we choose to carry forward, and what will we let fade in silence? York Minster, in its soaring arches and shrouded crypts, is more than a monument. It's a testament to humanity's carelessness, yearning to reach beyond the temporal. Its stone-stained glass in silence tells a story not just of faith but of the paradoxes that define us. Our capacity for both destruction and preservation, our relevance for the past even as we reshape it, and our struggles to balance beauty and unity. The Minster's survival through warfare and reformation mirrors our own resilience in the face of importance. Its layers, Roman, Saxon, Norman, Gothic, remind us that history is not a linear march, but a pill where each generation inscribes its hopes and fears over the echoes of those who came before. Yet in its modern role as a tourist magnet and community hub, it also poses urgent questions. Can heritage sites like this remain relevant in an age of distraction? Can they inspire not just thought but action to protect fragile ecosystems on the marginalised histories and reimagine sacred spaces as inclusive sanctuaries? Perhaps the Minster's greatest lesson lies in its duality. It is both a relic and a living entity, a symbol of divine aspirations and human fragility. To stand beneath its vaulted ceilings is to confront the fleeting nature of our own endeavours, and to recognise that what endures is not stone or glass, but the stories we choose to safeguard and the values we imprint upon them. In the end, York Minster challenges to ask, what will future generations inherit from us? Will they see a world that prioritises stewardship over exploration, empathy over division, and wonder over indifference? The answer, like the Minster itself, remains unfinished, a work in progress shaped by the hands and hearts of those who dare to care. Thus our exploration closes, but the conversation continues. In the quiet of the Minster's nave, in the debates of historians, and in the choices we make to honour the past while forging a more thoughtful future. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, concludes today's lesson at the Butterfly Princess Academy, where curiosity takes flight and wisdom does very much indeed wear wings. I would like now to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining me at the Academy for today's lesson, and I hope very much that in the near future you will be able to join me again for future lessons here at the Butterfly Princess Academy. But until next time, take care, bye-bye, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye for now, take care.